Okay, then we'll get cracking. So, good morning. Welcome to our Chasing in Uncertain Times webinar. Thank you so much for joining. My name's Hannah. I'm a success manager here at Chaser. Holly unfortunately couldn't make it today, so I'm going to be taking you through the webinar in her place. Just to take you through some general housekeeping before we get started. So, we are recording this webinar, and I'll be sure to email this over to you afterwards along with the slides. So don't worry about making or taking any kind of extensive notes unless you really want to, of course, because we will be sending it across. Okay, just to kind of go through what we're going to be covering today. Firstly is our response to COVID-19 so far, what we've been doing in terms of support and resources. Then I will run you through a demo of how you can adapt your chasing in these uncertain times, followed by a question and answer session. So there is a kind of Q&A session on, there is a Q&A button on the screen. So if you have got any questions as I'm taking you through, please do use the Q&A button, or feel free to use a chat box and I will look at that at the end. We'll get through as many as we can. And then finally, I will take you through the next steps. So we're running this webinar today to provide additional support, and this is in response kind of following the popularity of our Chasing in Uncertain Times email templates guide that we created. This is freely available for you. So actually, if I just show you it now over here. So this is something that we've made freely available, and we've got 8 templates in here which you can just copy and paste. And these are templates that you can use and have been adapted in light of COVID-19. So we've got some more information in here, and as I said, you can just copy and paste them. So this is free for you. What I'm going to do now is just copy and paste this link and put it in the chat box for you, so that if you would like to use those, then please do go ahead. So I'm just going to copy and paste that in the chat for you now. There we go. Got any issues kind of accessing it, please do let me know, but hopefully that should be fine. So that's that. You can also reach out to us for any COVID-19 related credit control and cash flow questions, and we will be providing free tailored advice for your business. So if you have any questions about that, please do contact our team at advice@chaserhq.com. Can't see the link. I'm seeing someone said they can't see the link. Is it just Rosanna, or can everyone else see it? No link? Let's see. Let me try now. There we go. Perfect. That's my fault. I didn't post it the right way. Okay, great. Perfect. Sorry about that. Okay, so yes, so we have our advice@chaserhq.com email address. So if you want any advice, need some support, then please do contact us there. We've also got lots of different support resources over on our blog, on our website. So our CEO and founder, David Tuck, who has nearly 15 years experience in credit control, has shared his guidance for businesses adapting their credit control function during COVID-19. So please do take a look at that, because there are lots of different tips and tricks on there too, and information. As I said, we are going to be sending these slides over to you at the end. So these all have the links for you to kind of click through and take a look there. And then last but by no means least, we also have launched our cash flow recovery initiative. So this is something that we're doing to provide free emergency virtual credit control for small UK businesses. So we will be conducting invoice chasing on your behalf, and also free credit control coaching to any business. So if you're interested in learning a little bit more about that, what we can do to help your business, then please contact our team on cri@chaserhq.com to inquire about it, and then a member of the team will be in touch to kind of talk you through that in more detail. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is take you through a demo of some of the main features of Chaser and how we've adapted them in light of the current situation. So I'm just going to head over to the platform now. So obviously Chaser is an automated cloud credit control software, and we focus on making sure that your invoice chasing and credit control is as human-centric as it can be, and we really pride ourselves on that. So the free templates that we created in our PDF guide demonstrate how you can use emotional intelligence in your invoice chasing, and approach customers with kindness and diplomacy, which is going to be so important at the moment. So what we've done, you can see we've got lots of different templates in our software in here that we've created. At the bottom, what we've done is we've copied and pasted the wording from the PDF guide shown earlier into Chaser. And so if I just click into a template, here you can see what it looks like. We have edited the repeatable prose to acknowledge the circumstances surrounding COVID-19, so time of uncertainty, understand that it's going to be very hectic for you at the moment, things like that. So from your point of view, there's honestly nothing you need to do other than just copy and paste the templates that we've created, just so you can keep it kind of as polite and as friendly and as understanding as possible. So those are your templates that you can edit and adapt. Next thing we want to be looking at changing is your schedules. This is where you decide how frequently you're chasing different customers. And when you're chasing customer payments at the moment, it's going to be important to remain as empathetic as possible to what they may be going through. So in some cases, this may mean being open to alternative payment arrangements, such as extended payment terms or agreeing payment plans, whatever's going to be the most feasible option for your business. For example, if we start with the former on extended payment terms, what we've done here is we've created a schedule for 60-day payment terms. So perhaps these customers were previously 30-day terms. And so if you have extended your terms, what you will need to do is adapt the frequency of chases in the schedule to reflect this. So for our 60-day payment terms, what we've added in here, which is different, is another before due chaser. So 30 days before the due date, we are now sending a really friendly reminder just to say that we have edited the increase the payment terms to 60 days, so they know, and means that you're still sending them a really friendly and polite reminder, so they're not going to forget to pay you. If I just show you the difference between the 60-day terms and the 30-day terms, so maybe this is customers that were normally in 30-day terms, and we're not chasing them as often before due dates. That's just an example of how you can adapt it there. If I jump back to our 60-day terms, so we'd also recommend that you look at adapting the frequency of chases in the schedule. So this is before the due date, and this is once the due date has passed. So maybe before you were chasing them you're chasing these customers and these invoices on this schedule every 14 days. Maybe now you do it every 7 days, for example. The next option you have is looking at agreeing payment plans. So once an invoice becomes more than 30 days overdue, we recommend sending a chase that suggests an alternative payment option. So there may well be a very good reason they're unable to pay large sums during COVID-19. Maybe they have been really severely affected by the virus, maybe like your business. So we recommend that you try and be as flexible as is feasible for your business to maintain great relationships with your customers. So that means once you're out of the worst of this, you will have built goodwill, loyalty with those customers, because they are going to recognize the fact that you are doing all that you can at the moment. And this will mean that they will be a more longer term customer once we're out of this. So this one here, you can see we've created and we mentioned at the bottom that if you're struggling, please get in touch and we can look at discussing an alternative payment plan. So what you can do, the way you can make this work with your accounting software and Chaser, if you're going to go with that option, is you can set up recurring invoices and then assign those invoices to a specific schedule. So for example, you could issue a recurring invoice in your accounting software, say that's 0, and that's going to be sent to your customer every 2 weeks for 6 weeks. And then you can move that customer across to the special schedule that you've created with wording that's adapted to that. So for example, we've got a payment plan schedule that we've got set up here. And then the last couple of things just to show you in here as well that you can look at adapting is having conscientious escalation. So our escalation feature is what allows you to automatically escalate the sender or recipient of the chaser, so it sends to and from a more senior person. So what you could do is look at when you're sending a reminder from an account manager in your business or to a more senior person in your customer's business, just for maximum impact. And in light of COVID-19, what we'd actually recommend that you did is look at introducing the escalated sender or recipient a little bit earlier on than normally you would. So perhaps before you would introduce them at 35 days overdue, now you're introducing them a week early. And then the final thing in here as well is sort of the thank you messages that send. So once you've received payment and it has been reconciled in your accounting software, we recommend that you send a thank you message. So while this is really easily forgotten, we found that it actually significantly improves future payment times by acknowledging payments and building that goodwill. So we've got of the templates in here has been adapted to COVID-19. This is going to be so important at the moment because it's really crucial to show to your customers that you are grateful for customer payments and just make them feel really valued, make their payment feel really feel valued, that it's you're so appreciative. So Chaser will send this automatically to customers after an invoice has been marked as paid in your accounting software within 24 hours of that happening. So you don't need to remember to do it. We do it all for you. We take that workload off you. So that's schedules. We've done templates, done schedules. Now we're just going to head over to general. So this is what we're going to look at adapting here is our thresholds, and it's going to be really important that you do look at reviewing this for your customers. So these thresholds, they act like a credit limit, and essentially they can be set as a default for all new customers. So what you can look at changing is perhaps decreasing your current threshold, so say from £100,000 to £120,000 to £100,000, maybe increasing the frequency of percentage notification triggers. So at the moment we are going to be sending you an email notification, in this case whenever a customer reaches or exceeds £100,000 of overdue. So maybe you send this to, you change this to 50%, so we will then notify you a little bit more often earlier on, just so you've got greater visibility over what's happening, and that's going to help you in terms of kind of having that accurate information for cash flow forecasting purposes. So we can apply that there. We'd also recommend that you have a look at reviewing thresholds that have been set at a customer level. So these are default for all new customers, but you can also set them up on a customer level as well. So if we just go to our customers now, we'll click on our customer down under. So here you can view a customer threshold that's been set specifically for Down Under Limited. So what we could do for this particular customer is we could look at editing the threshold from £60,000, changing it, reducing it to £40,000, and that means we will be notified whenever they reach the percentages of that value. So again, you've got a greater visibility. One other thing that's going to be really important that you kind of stay on top of is being super vigilant at logging all call notes, all information related to each invoice. So I'm currently in our invoice page. So any information you have relating to a particular invoice, following calls, conversations you've had, make sure they are all logged in the software, in the built-in CRM, just so it's all in there. Another thing as well is you could make use of mentioning other members of the finance team in these notes. A lot of people don't realize that you can do this. So if we just tag, let's say I tag Beth, and this means that if I add a little note, Beth will be sent an email kind of notifying her about this. And this will be really important potentially for the finance team. So if they need to potentially budget on an invoice by invoice basis. I'd also recommend that you be really, again, vigilant at ensuring that any agreed payment date is updated and is in Chaser for each of those invoices. So if, for example, we've had a customer who says they can't pay you for another couple of months, make sure that information is in here and is saved for each of those invoices, because what that's going to mean is we're not going to chase this invoice until that expected payment date has passed without payment, and then we will automatically start chasing them again. So it means you don't have to remember to come in and stop chasing and start chasing again. And equally, it means you're not at risk of chasing this invoice, this customer, in between now and their expected payment date. So you're not at risk of damaging any customer relationships. And then also it's going to ensure accurate information for cash flow forecasting purposes as well, because you can look at when you should be expecting those payments to come through. Just going to jump back to that customer again as well. So back to Down Under, we'd really recommend that you look at checking that you've got the correct contact at your customer, and so you make sure you are contacting the right people at the moment. So it may well be the case that you have customers who furloughed some of their staff, and in which case the person you're normally contacting may be furloughed at the moment, and if that's the case, you chasing them is not going to make any difference. So you need to make sure that you've got the correct contact details, that you are chasing the right person, so that you can ensure that you're going to be paid. And the last couple of things that I'd recommend that you do is just make sure that you are downloading your customer and invoice information as a report on a weekly basis. So you can do this by just clicking export, choosing customers or invoices, do both. And you can use this static report to review expected payment dates that I mentioned before to assist again with cash flow forecasting, and make sure you've got the information and you can track it weekly and see how it's improving. Okay, so you may well be not chasing invoices at the moment. You might not have any invoices to chase, but it's still really important that you do make use of Chaser at the moment, just to kind of keep things ticking over. So the first thing to do is make sure you are using our CRM tool, which is at a customer and an invoice level. So I showed you that before. If I just search for a customer, I can show you it again. Here we go. And this means that by making sure that you are logging all the communications that you have, any calls you have, any meetings that you have in here, means that once you are ready to start chasing invoices again, you are armed with all the information that you need to set things up and get cracking with that. The second thing you can do as well is look at sending statements to your customers every month, so they're still aware of their kind of statement of account. Currently, this is done manually. If you just click the three dots and click Chase Now, you can choose the chaser and attach the customer statement, and that will send them a chaser there and then. However, we are hoping to introduce the automation of monthly statements within the next few weeks. So that is coming, but at the moment it's manual. So if you want to do it now, that you are still able to do it, it's just going to be a little bit more manual. Okay, so that concludes the demo of Chaser. So we'll now move on to the Q&A section. So I'll answer any questions that we may have had. So just give me a moment. I'm going to have a little look and see if we've got any. If not, that's fine. And if you have got any questions, then please do feel free to email me, the team at success@chaserhq.com, and we'll be able to get back to you as soon as possible. So I'm going to wait a moment to see if we've got any questions. Doesn't look like we have, which is fine. Let's have a little look. Okay, so we have. Okay, can I get a copy of the webinar? Joined late? Yes. So we are sending the slides and the recording of the webinar to everyone and to anyone who couldn't join. So don't worry, we'll send this all across to you. So everything is in there for you. That's that. So next question, what if I can't get hold of anyone? I only have the email of one person in the credit department. Does the system have any way of checking whether the email has been looked at or read by anyone else? So we, at the moment, if we're able to track whether an email has been opened, then we will track that in the software. But in terms of whether it's been opened by another person, at the moment, no. So if you can get hold of another person in the team, maybe you maybe try calling them and seeing if you get another email address, have a look at their website, and you've got different recipients there. You can CC other people in as well. So maybe send it to the email address of the person in the credit control department and CC in others too, so that they have that. That way, then hopefully you'll be able to make sure that it's going to be opened and read. One important thing to note on whether we can track an email as opened is it really depends on the level of security of that of the recipient's email inbox. So if we can track it as opened, we can. We will, but it's not always going to be the case. So next question, when I put a note and a date to resume, I do not also have to click stop chase. No. So if you're setting an expected payment date, you don't need to click stop chasing as well. I wouldn't recommend that you did that, because it's just gonna we're not going to chase them until you click start chasing again. So just to explain what that means, if I go to an invoice here, so if you click stop chasing, we will not chase them until you click start chasing again. So if you want to set an expected payment date, just set the expected payment date, and you don't need to click stop chasing. We will automatically move this invoice, it will automatically stop chasing this invoice until that new date has passed without payment, and then we will automatically start chasing again. So that's all you need to do. You don't need to click stop chasing. In a second, I'm going to have a look at the other questions that we have. Okay, so I've got a few here. does it produce a report showing expected receipts for cash flow purposes? So you can download this information here, and that will show the and that this will include the expected payment date, so you can see when you're due to you're expected to receive payment. So yes, you can use that for cash flow purposes, cash flow forecasting purposes. And next question, I'm getting notifications that the email was not sent successfully, but the email address is correct, and if you send the same email again, it works. It's the tracer error. So I would definitely recommend that you send that. Could you please email that an example of that to our support team so that we can have a look for you, because sometimes it can depend. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on there without knowing the invoice and the email address that was being chased. So if you could please email our support team, I'm just going to put the email address in the chat box for you, so that we can get back to you and have a look at that. So there we go, that's our support email address. If you've got any questions, any queries, things that aren't working for whatever reason, then yeah, please do contact us there. I'm just going to have a look through, make sure I've answered all the questions. I've answered the one about notes, report, notifications. Okay, no more questions. Okay, cool. So I'm just going to wrap things up now. So as I said before, we will send you an email shortly after the webinar, and that email will include a link to the webinar recording and also a copy of the slides. So if you want to share this with anybody else or want to review the tips that we've put in here, then yeah, please do. If you have any questions about it as well, please do contact us. I know we've got a few email addresses in here, but yeah, contact us on success@chasehq.com, and we'll be able to answer you. But thank you so much for joining. Thanks for your time. I hope this was useful. Take care and happy chasing.